for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us. So welcome to Live Chat with Josey. It's a culture here that I'll ask you to introduce yourself. We have people that might not know you. So how best can we describe Hope Masike? Who is Hope Masike?
Okay, I am an artist from Zimbabwe, very known for playing this instrument, Mbira. It's one of our favorite instruments in Zimbabwe. It's a national instrument from here, from Zimbabwe. So I'm popularly known for playing that and singing Mbira. Maybe I'll do you a tune if we have time. I have several albums to my name that you can find online on Amazon. And then I recently released a book, a poetry, a collection of poems called Ask Me Again. So I am an artist through and through. I enjoy performing, writing, and I'm a sister to many, an aunt to many, lover of Africa. That's me.
Great. So when were you born? Where were you born? Which school did you go to? Things like that.
Okay. I was born here in Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe. I was born at a clinic in my hood in Highfield, and I was born in '84. And I went to my nursery school and my primary school, most of it there in Highfield at Busy Primary School. Then I went to Lawayo at Moray Primary School, and then I went to Anigo Secondary School, Mayorberine Girls High School, Harare Polytechnic for Fine Art, and then Zimbabwe College of Music for music. And now I'm studying French at Alliance Française. Yeah, that's my academic history.
Okay, great. And who is the lucky man in your life?
Agree.
We're getting to know Hope Masike.
Okay, let's say there isn't anyone now. I recently broke up with a boyfriend I had been with for quite a while. So there isn't anyone now. Just a lot of perspectives. We'll see how it goes.
Great, interesting. So what inspired you to get into music, Hope? I mean, to even study music. What inspired you to study music and to get into music? And why Mbira music? You are the Princess of Mbira.
I first got introduced to Mbira, in fact, when I was still studying fine art. So we had a course where we did what we called appreciation, and sometimes you'd of Zimbabwe. Then I knew the Mbira first for the first time then. And then also one of our who played Mbira. So when he came to visit his friend, he would play Mbira up the corridor, and then when he left, he would play the Mbira down the corridor. So that's how I got initiated into Mbira music, and I loved the sound. We asked him if he could teach us, and then he was like, yeah, sure. Just get instruments and I'll teach you. So that was my very first introduction to Mbira, and immediately I loved how soothing the sound is. I love the fact that it represents my roots. So whatever I do with it, I play hip hop on Mbira, I play jazz standards on Mbira. Still, it's kind of grounded because it's an instrument that represents my roots. So what got me to do music after fine art was I almost stopped fine art before I graduated. You finish what you started. So I finished fine art, but I already wanted to go and study music. And during that time, of course, there was Chiwoniso Marai. They're doing amazing things with Mbira all across the globe. And then I got to know Mbira Stella Chiweshe also. And I just fell in love with the sound of Mbira. And I really thought how lovely it would make money with something that my ancestors left me. So that kind of inspired the type of music that I do, and even the experimentations that I do with Mbira, grounded in all of that.
Is it difficult though to learn Mbira? I would love to try it. Is it difficult?
It's not at all. I mean, look at my fingers. They don't even have scarring or anything. They're as delicate as ever. It's not difficult, especially this type, because it only has 15 keys. I mean, how much?
50?
Yeah, it's really easy, this one. There are other types with more keys, like up to 40 something number of keys even more. So this one would be the light one when it comes to the number of keys. So it's pretty simple. If we had time, and you had the instrument where you are, I could teach you a song in like 10 minutes. You'd be playing something.
Really? I actually find it like, I think it's so complicated because in school I took piano lessons. But when I look at Mbira, I feel like maybe it's a bit complicated.
Not at all. Not at all. I would say your fingers have much more work to do when you play an instrument like a guitar with many strings and many frets. So your fingers are all over. Mbira it's light on the fingers, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so you started your career, then you started Mbira. Then when did you become a professional Mbira musician? Like, I mean, going for shows, traveling out of Zimbabwe to perform in other countries?
Yeah. The very first band I had was in 2006, but I wasn't playing Mbira yet. So, and then things went, the economy in Zimbabwe went down, so a lot of people moved. Two of my band members went to SA. So, and the band was really a quartet. So when they moved, that band died. But then in 2007, the next year, I started studying music at the Zimbabwe College of Music. And then I met more fantastic musicians. So I started my band, the current one that I have now. I started in 2007 at Zimbabwe College of Music. And I started professional music in 2008 because Woniso moved to the States for about 2 years. She was playing at the Book Cafe on Tuesdays. So when she left, they called me and they're like, would you like to play on Tuesday evenings? I'm like, me? So that's when I started playing professionally. And then I started building my audience. I started growing my audience. And from then, I just moved from one stage to the other. Yeah, that's how it happened.
So that phone call changed your life. And how did you feel when you received that phone call? I mean, to replace someone like Chiwoniso?
So excuse me. I was like, did you get the correct number? But yeah, it's those phone calls that then create the rest of the journey. You know, they're like the first step to a longer, a broader journey. Yeah.
So who's been your inspiration? Who's been your inspiration? You speak of Chiwoniso, you speak of Mbuya Stella Chiweshe. Who is your inspiration when it comes to music?
That's a difficult one because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of amazing musicians out there, and from Zimbabwe, there's just so much talent. So different musicians who have inspired me in different areas. For instance, of course, Mbuya Stella Chiwoniso and Mbuya Biulanjo and all those Mbira gurus have inspired me to take up the Mbira. But there are people like, I love Dudu Manenga, and I love her for, of course, for her music and all, but I particularly like her image and how even if you draw a single line like this and then you just add that big dookie, it's Dudu already. So I love the branding there. I love Winky D for playing for the masses. He's got the masses in his hands like this. When he performs, he just has to start a song, and then the rest is finished by the audience. I love Ja Praiser. I think he's very hardworking. I loved Tuku also for being in the music industry ever since we were kids and staying relevant up until now. Yeah, so I love different musicians for different things, and they inspire me in different ways. But I would say a musician with passion that is absolutely evident and creativity that really, really attracts and inspires me.
So how's been the music industry like for you, like especially someone that lives in Zimbabwe, comes from Zimbabwe with all the hardships? I mean, when it comes to the arts industry, I think it's a bit difficult in Zimbabwe.
Oh yeah, I would agree with you. Zimbabwe is this beautiful, beautiful country with a whole lot of weird type of problems, mostly coming from the economic instabilities that, I mean, it's been years now, the economy has never really been stable enough. So that comes with a lot of challenges for all industries, and the creative industries are not spared. If anything, we're at the bottom of the food chain. So it is a challenge for sure. It is a big challenge. But I like looking at the fact that because we are small geographically and we are small economy-wise, there's also a whole lot of gap, a whole lot of opportunities that are presented because of that. So I always imagine if I was in New York, would I have the same kind of opportunities that I have while I'm here? So the thing
Or
I always,
perhaps in Nigeria, with that
oh,
population.
Nigeria, you know? So here, there's you can do a whole lot of things if you know how to go around things. And I think the most important thing, you as Zimbabwean, is exposure. Just to know that things can be better, to see how well things could be, because you're well traveled or you're in touch with other musicians from other countries. So you know that things are supposed to be like this. And then you work towards it. There's a lot of opportunity to do that here. So it's tough, but I mean, when we die and we go wherever we die, heaven or hell or wherever we go, you won't have. I was born in Zimbabwe as an excuse. Your life is actually just moving. You're growing older each year. Are you leaving a worthy legacy? It doesn't matter the country you're born in, you know. So yeah, but it is.
I think you're a very fun person. You know, I've not met you in person, but the way you talk, I think you're a very fun person, and I love fun people. The moment you just said whether you go to heaven or to hell, I mean, that's interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, so have you had shows like, you know, I'm just thinking aloud as I'm trying to use, a thought just came to me that, I mean, with Mbira music, a lot of white people embrace the Mbira music. Have you had shows in Victoria Falls? I mean, with all the tourists coming in, of course, before the coronavirus. Have you had shows like maybe at the Boma restaurant in Victoria Falls?
Interesting question. Interesting question. And now that I think of it, I'm like, in fact, no, I haven't played in Victoria Falls. That's not a good thing.
You need to pay me for that idea. We need to make it happen. I mean, imagine even by the airport. You remember that group that is always like dancing and welcoming people? We have something different. And I've been to Boma restaurant a couple of times, and we were playing, you know, the drums and stuff. And I'm just thinking, I mean, it's something you can actually introduce to the tourists coming to Victoria Falls.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. Yeah. We'll work on it after COVID.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Anyway, so despite that, do you have any girls, any guys that you're also inspiring or teaching Mbira music in Zimbabwe?
So I have this what shall I call this program? Let's call it that, called the Seven of Us. And the whole idea is to have 7 girls whom I walk with for a year, and then the next year another 7 girls. And by walking with, I do really is introducing them to my network. One of the privileges of being a musician is today you're playing in the rural area somewhere so remote. Tomorrow you're playing for heads of states somewhere in Harare. So I get to know a lot of people, the influential and the ones who need help from the influential. So with the 7 of us, I have 7 girls whom I just walk with throughout the year. When I introduce them to my influential and let's say well-to-do friends or friends who are doing inspirational things, I introduce them to these 7 girls. They talk to these girls, they talk about their journey. And the girls ask questions from them. If they're interested in that particular field, then the better. And I also try to make them see my world so that they also understand that I might be Hope in the papers, but the actual work behind is something else. And I hope that inspires them to have some kind of direction in their lives and to know, to be exposed to different career paths, and to grow their networks also. So that's my main contribution. Teaching of Mbira, I had stopped that, but thanks to COVID, it's actually starting again. And yeah, I would like to mentor a lot of young Zimbabweans to appreciate their culture, to not be afraid of it, to not look at Mbira and think, oh, it was deemed demonic in the colonial era. That's so ancient. So I would really love to grow that network also. That's the work that I do.
So have you had any collaborations, and are you planning any collaborations in future?
Oh, yes. That's a fun topic. One of my most phenomenal collaborations was with Salif Keita. I've shared the stage with
Oh,
Salif.
wow, I love that guy.
Don't even start. I do not know how I managed to sing, because I've worshipped him ever since I was a young kid, you know. So that was so memorable. And up to now, anytime I'm about to doubt that good things can happen any day, I think of that. I've collaborated with a lot of other musicians. I have a Norwegian band I play with every now and then. We are called Monoswezi, acronym for Mozambique, Norway, Sweden, and Zimbabwe. So we play a fusion of our Afrocentric music from Zimbabwe and Mozambique plus Scandinavian jazz. So you can go look up Monoswezi. There's some fun videos. I also collaborate with the current Mahube, which is a Southern African collaborative. So there's South Africa, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. And that one is also absolutely fun because we received the torch from the original Mahube members, and there was Oliver Mtuguzi, Lumhlanga, Steve Dyer. You remember that old Mahube?
Yes, I do.
Which, I mean, was so amazing. So continuing from that, now we have the current African music from our different countries, and we have different styles of music also, and then we are all mashed up together. It's a beautiful, beautiful together blend. And I've collaborated with Sulumani Chimbetu. We did a mixture of Dendera and Mbira. I've collaborated with the Nuts. They are also a Zimbabwean outfit who do alternative hip hop. So we fuse that with Mbira. Yeah, you can go check out stuff on my YouTube, and there's some fun experimental stuff. So this year, I'm also looking forward to some fun collaborations, which I cannot reveal now as yet. But yeah, there's stuff cooking. Yeah.
No, I understand. So if you were not a musician, what would you have been?
I almost became an accountant because for some strange reason.
Oh, you love money.
Oh, who doesn't love money? But I love digital. Although when I was in school, I never considered myself good in account. I was scared of our teacher even. So I was pretty sure I went through accounts in this haze. I just went because it was one of the classes I had to go to. And then to my surprise, when our results came, I had passed accounts. And then there was a huge battle with the school I was trying to go to, saying I should do accounts and not the stuff that I wanted to do. Anyway, in the end, I did do accounts still, but when I went for A-level, I didn't do well in accounts. So fortunately, and also I started studying art before our results came out, so they couldn't take me out of art anyway after that. Fortunately, I love digits, but I don't want them every minute of my life.
Okay, interesting. So the main reason I actually looked for you, Hope, was a few weeks ago, I think it's about 2 weeks or what, you posted a picture that you look like you're pregnant. And I was like, oh, amazing, wedding bells coming up. And the way you did it, I think you just put Zimbabwe in suspense. Everybody in suspense, like what is happening in Hope Masike's life now, who is the lucky guy and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But later on, you put your condition, which as a woman, I felt like, look, we need to talk about this.
Oh, yeah.
I've had relatives, I've had cousins, I've had sisters who've gone through this. So let's talk about the issue that you're advocating about, which is fibroids. How is it going?
Yeah, so I'm reading a lot of books on natural hygiene, on things like that because of the fibroids, and I have come to learn that it's even there in Christianity. They say things befall you a reason, and one of the greatest things you can do to humanity is to learn the reason why that problem befell you and the next person. So one of the reasons it befell me, one of the reasons I think God chose it to also happen to me among the very many women, the same issue, is exactly that, to bring awareness, because right now there's a lot of women who are suffering from this condition in silence, and there's just been a lot of silence around women's health, I think, and yet there's a whole lot of things that happen with women because we have wombs and all that. So I decided to start this campaign to bring awareness to fibroids in particular, but women's health in general, and also to make it light. There shouldn't be issues we are scared to talk about, or because a lot of people also, if you say you've got fibroids, there's a whole lot of myths around fibroids, I tell you. So people, because when I announced that I had fibroids, I asked people to inbox me their fibroid stories and all, and I received some messages where there are also some girls who are asking, is it true that they say you get fibroids because you did this or you did not do this? Among those kind of things was one young girl was asking, is it true they say you get fibroids because you're not having sex for a long time? I don't think so, but I'm not qualified to answer. And other people also believe, there are a lot of weird beliefs, let me say. And if you go to the spiritual side also, there's a whole lot of other beliefs there. Because of all that and our general culture that women don't talk about reproductive health, I mean, even menstruation, you meet men who don't understand that a pad is, you stick a pad on a pant, it's not stuck on the leg or in your thighs or anything. So there's a whole lot of things that you would think are obvious, but people actually just don't know about them. And because they don't know about them.
But I applaud you for the courage to come out in the open just to help other women, Hope. I mean, it takes so much courage for someone to openly come out, take a picture. I mean, you dressed up in a white, beautiful dress, took a picture and posted it. I really applaud you for such courage. So how long have you been with that condition? Or when did you realize that you had fibroids?
I got diagnosed when I was, let's say, 6-7 years ago. But the diagnosis doesn't necessarily mean that's when they started. And I think mine had been there for quite a while, in fact. So yeah, it's been, let's say, 7 years now.
So is the treatment for it? Are you undergoing treatment? How has it been for you?
Yeah, which is why I'm also doing this campaign, because it's a gray area, that one, in many ways. I wanted to comment first before I go to the treatment bit. You're saying it takes bravery and all, but I also figured it's therapeutic for me. Psychologically, it helps to hear other stories from other women. We share thoughts and all that. So I did it to heal myself and also for other women who might be in the same situation. And then on treatment, the thing with fibroids, or at least what I've observed here in Zimbabwe, is there's a lot of people trying traditional remedies, or let's say herbal, from other countries even. But all of it is done in secrecy, let me say, or without supervision, or so there isn't any documentation that's really solid and trustworthy to say this medication works, these don't, these would work if your fibroids are this large, or these won't. So it's a trial and error, left, right, and center. And I've been trying several herbs also, and we'll see. My doctor will tell me if it's working or not, or if I need to go into surgery. The most recommended treatment by most gynecologists is removing them if they are now too big or causing discomfort. But if they are not, you can carry them around and you just be as normal as everyone else. The only problem is when they start really growing. Yeah.
You know, the thing is, like I said, I applaud you for being so courageous. And I don't know if some of my questions would be a bit sensitive, but it's just things that I want to know about and other women to learn about. So when you took that picture when your tummy was so bloated, is that how your tummy looks all the time, or it was just that?
No, it doesn't look like that all the time.
Okay.
So there are times of the month that it bloats that much.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
also think sometimes it has to do with your diet. And the other thing with fibroids is there's a lot of hormonal explanations to it, or it depends on hormonal activity. And hormonal activity is difficult to monitor. And sometimes even us, the women, don't know that our hormones are like this now or are like that now. So yeah, there are periods of the month when it bloats like that. And then also because when I'm leaving my house, I actually put an effort to tuck it in. So few people have said, Hope, this is a two-born, are you pregnant? But most times I try to tuck it in, and I've also been wearing clothes that are a bit more big. So yeah, it doesn't look like that all the time.
And is it painful? I mean, is it painful all the time, or I don't know, just explain, what do you go through? Is it when you're sleeping, when you're walking? How does the pain come? How does the pain go? What are you taking for pain? Of course, you might not say the specific painkiller, but if you're taking painkillers or whatever.
So I'll ask in general, not necessarily about me, but so what happens with fibroids is if you talk to many doctors, they'll tell you that fibroids are harmless in the sense that they're not cancerous, or on their own, they don't really harm you. But it's what they then cause because of, for instance, most of the pain depends on where your fibroids are sitting. So if your fibroid is sitting by the bladder, then you could have blood. Or if your fibroid is sitting somewhere close to your backbone, then you have backache, or it all depends waiting. And then it depends on its size. And then the fibroids themselves feed on you. They're parasitic, so they're feeding on your blood. So most times when they get really big, then they make you anemic, you get tired very easily. Sometimes memory issues, and all these depend on different have different symptoms, signs and symptoms, different effects from fibroids. But those are some of the problems with fibroids. And of course, the biggest problem is if you intend to conceive later. If you leave them and they grow too big, they could fill up your entire uterus so much that it's difficult for them to be removed in surgery. They just have to remove the entire uterus. Or if you leave them to grow too big, sometimes they say they can develop into being cancerous, or if they start rotting or something, they can sometimes. So yeah, those are all the complications around fibroids. And because how they affect you differs from woman to woman, there are a lot of areas that are, let's say, gray or not absolutely clear. Yeah.
So you have a lot of women that have contacted you in terms of how they can also cope and join your campaign that you're doing about fibroids.
Yeah, I received a lot of messages, and the first day I didn't know what to do with them. I got so heartbroken reading the messages, and some of the women were women that I know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea you're going through this, which just proves that there's a lot of women suffering, but in silence, and things are not spoken about in open or researched. So we're not really going anywhere. Fibroids is the same thing. A lot of women losing uteruses or going through a lot of pain, expensive surgery, and things like that, without any researching into it in the meantime. So yeah, I received.
And are there any women that confided in you with such conditions affecting their marriages?
Oh, yeah. Some of the stories were as heartbreaking as fibroids, the problems with fibroids leading to divorce. There's a lot of men who, if you fail to conceive or it's being very problematic, they've maybe not easily, but they will eventually move and try to have children with someone else. So I received quite a lot of those kinds of messages also. But what was encouraging was that I also received a lot of messages from men, husbands and boyfriends of women who had fibroids, and they really wanted to know more. They were asking me, how can I help? She's in pain so much. What could I do? And all that. That was very encouraging too.
Wow. So for someone like you as a musician, you're planning your collaborations, of course, that you said you can't tell me today. Has it been affecting your day-to-day life?
Well, unfortunately, it does affect it. But I would say if you have time to look into our traditional remedies, sometimes you do find things that help relieve the pain or the getting tired and things like that. And also, I'm fortunate because my band is just lovely, and I have a very lovely, supportive family. So the weight is never too much at any point. But of course, it affects productivity is not at 150% as you'd like. Sometimes it's not at 100 even. But yeah,
Okay.
that's part of the whole research also.
So in case people want to get hold of you, want to be part of the campaign, or need help, how can they reach you, Hope?
I am available on all my online platforms as Hope Masike, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. And my website is www.hopemasike.co.zw. But the easiest way to get a hold of me is on my social media platforms. And you can find my phone number there too, in fact. And I do not have the answers. I'm not a qualified medical practitioner, but we are planning to have people who are qualified coming in for discussions and just helping women with things that we do not know about. And in the process, bringing awareness of the condition to other people who have never had the condition also. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Hope, for talking to us today. But is there anything else that you want to say? Any inspirational words? Any last words that you'd want to say? I mean, for people with everything that's going on in the world, COVID-19, and what you're also trying to achieve. And is there any way people can help if they want to be part of the campaign? What are you looking for? What are you yearning for? What do you want to achieve?
Yeah. So with the campaign, the main thing is bringing awareness, because I noticed there are people suffering in silence. So maybe someone really close to you has this condition, but you don't see it because you don't know it exists, and they're suffering in silence, but you could be helping them. So the main thing is awareness, so that people know that when you see a woman with a big belly, it could be very impolite sometimes to say you are not taking care of your body. You're not eating well, you're not exercising, or when are you going to give birth? It could be impolite sometimes. So awareness is the first thing. The second thing, I would like to bring attention to decision makers here in Africa for us to really start investing more in research in our traditional herbs here, our traditional remedies to different ailments, and to capture this before that generation that knows about those things goes. We have very few research centers. If there are any that are focusing on fibroids here in Zimbabwe, I don't know about them, but I'd like to reach out to people for us to do things like that. It's not just fibroids. A lot of women die in childbirth or end up losing their children and things like that because there are a lot of issues that are under researched. So Africa needs to step up and start researching our herbs and all that. And of course, the last thing is just building a fibroid support system, support base with professionals who know about fibroids, who just come and share their insight, so that all women who are suffering from this, or people who know people who are suffering from fibroids, can learn more. So gynecologists or just mere doctors who know about this condition, herbalists, people like that. If there's anyone interested in this campaign, we would like to talk to you and bring more awareness and just share knowledge with people who are suffering from fibroids.
And how can people deal with stigmatization? Of course, before you answer the COVID-19 issue and your last words, how can women deal with stigmatization? Because I realized there was also an article that you went on live talking about. I think it has been taken down. I didn't see the article, but how can women deal with stigmatization?
Oh yeah, it was pulled down. It goes to my general advice also. So when the article came out, and the first person who told me about it very, very early in the morning, like, did you read this? So I read it before my phone started buzzing with messages and all. But even when I read it, I didn't read it word for word. So I would read the beginning of a paragraph and the end of a paragraph and just quickly go over it. Because I've decided, you have to decide what you want to focus on in your life. This time it is limited. No one knows if you're here tomorrow or next year. I mean, who knew we would be wearing masks this time of the year? Like, things change.
Yeah, absolutely. Who knew?
Yeah.
Nobody knew. Yeah.
Things change and we don't have the power to control them. So be certain of the things you spend time on. So my mentors encouraged me not to respond. Thank the Lord. They told me not to respond, and because they know there's a book I'm working on, so they're like, focus on the work that you have to do. You have a lot of work, in fact, and deadlines you haven't met. So better to focus on that and leave that to just play whatever it's going. And for sure, the public came through and defended me and women in general, because that article was an attack to women, single women, to musicians. It was an attack to women.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the article, but did the person think you were pregnant, or it was actually an attack because you had fibroids?
Well, the article was something like a condemnation of my strategy of announcing that I had fibroids and the fibroids thing. And rather than just focusing on that, then there were other very personal attacks, very, very personal attacks, like, well, you just need to read the article. I would rather not give it limelight. But anyway,
don't even. But one thing I want you to know, especially for someone like me, I've had a lot of attacks. But what I always tell myself, no publicity is bad publicity. No negative publicity is bad publicity.
That's true.
Every negative publicity you get is for your own gain.
That's so true.
I was trolled one day on Twitter because of my past. And you know how it is on Twitter, everybody wants to have followers and whatever. That particular day, I gained like 500 followers in one day. So sometimes you look at these things and you feel like, okay, someone is trying to destroy me, but they're actually uplifting me in another way. So I'm glad. I was so happy when I saw you do a live, smiling. You were laughing. I said, thank you for the article. And my family told me not to respond. I was like, wow, what a strong one. Well done.
Thank you so much. And it's so true. Sometimes people think they're hurting you, but in fact they end up propelling you. So yeah. Anyway, it takes me to my general message to people who are watching. And my general message always has to do with this: the fact that you were put on earth for a certain purpose, for a certain calling, and there's a limit to time you're here. So with everything going on around, let's always remember that there is limited time still. And if you die today, it's not like anything is going to be any better for you or for people who remain behind because you died on a Thursday, or because you died in a country with a bad economy, or because you died during COVID times. If anything, whatever might have happened, you or the people who remain behind is worse than what might have happened last year. So things are going to happen anyway. C'est la vie. But just make sure you're calling, you're building a legacy that's worthwhile, because things are going to happen anyway.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to find out from you, if people want to also purchase your book, get your book, how can they do that?
It is on Amazon. You can get it in paperback or Kindle, and it's called Ask Me Again. I don't know if that doesn't, it had to be upside down, but anyway, Ask Me Again by Hope Masike. It's a collection of poems that let's say yummy just for now, that discuss certain things we don't normally discuss at home or in public. So it's a nice read, especially during COVID times. So you can get it on Amazon. In fact, you should get it on Amazon for your own good. It's a nice read. You can also get my music on Amazon, iTunes, on all online shops. And yeah.
Great. And it's unfortunate I didn't advise you on time or give you a notice. I would have asked you to bring your Mbira so that we can just log out whilst you're playing a little bit of Mbira for me. I forgot. Don't you have it next to you somewhere there?
Okay, in fact, wait. I could play something while we
Yay, thank you.
Thank you for having me. So this is music from Zimbabwe.
Thank you so much. You just made me miss home. Thank you so much, Hope. Thank you for joining me today on Live Chat with Josey. And I just wish you all the best with your campaign. I wish you all the best with your music. And yes, I am looking forward to the next collaboration.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was a fantastic chat. Thank you. Let's do it again.
Thank you, Hope. Yes, definitely.